Is a text by Shankaracharya. And many people have actually used this in Advaita. Different Advaita teachers have actually used this. And so I will try to just talk a little bit about this, and also we can try to see if we can somewhat practically do it as we look at it. So the mantra is very simple. First, I will just say the mantra and I will translate it. The mantra is Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik Tadrishyam Driktu Manasam Drishyadhi Vrittayo Sakshi Drgeva Natu Drishyate. Andre, the mantra, what the meaning of this mantra is that Rupam Drishyam. So we see objects, we see forms, we see colors. There can be many colors like this. It can be a cup. It is red color cup, or it is a pen. A white color pen. A book. A little dark kind of book. It has its own form. It has its own color, and this has its own color, its own form. So everything that we see has form in the world, right? Any object we see, generally two characteristics. One is it has a certain form, like a shape, you can say, a form, a shape. Another is it has some kind of color. So this generally becomes an object to the eye, our eye sense. So similarly, when we see people, we recognize them because they have a certain form, a color, and other things, and we give them a name. So all objects in the world, we have something like that. That is the way the mind recognizes through the eyes that form. Now the second one is Lochanam Drik. So the eye, is the seer of this object. So when I see some form, the seer is the eye. Now the second thing he says here is Tadrishyam Driktu Manasam. Now when I am seeing with my eye, right, if I close my eyes, I cannot see that object, right? Like this cup, I see it when my eyes is open. But if I close my eyes, I can't see this cup. So now the eye is actually able to see that cup, but the seeing of that eyes is enabled because of the mind. So now what has happened is, whatever the eyes has seen is actually known because of the mind. Right? So first step was the eyes was the seer and the object was the seen. Now the mind is the seer and the eyes are the seen. So the workings of the eyes, sometimes we say that, I'm not able to see properly. My glasses is not strong enough and all that. How do we know that? Because the mind knows that. The mind says that my eyes, there is some problem with my vision, and this has to be corrected through the glasses or something. So the mind, there is a mind which knows that my eyes is seeing or not seeing, or you can also say the mind enables the eyes to see to some extent. So now the first equation was this object was the seen and the eyes was the seer. Now the second equation here is the eyes is the seen and the mind is the seer. Right? So these are the two steps now. Now he takes it another step further. It's all in one verse. He's packed the whole Vedanta in one mantra. Drishyadri Vrittayo Sakshi. Now the mind has thoughts, right? Like I even have the thought that I'm able to see, I'm not able to see, or it could be any other thought. The mind has a lot of thoughts. Because the mind is the agent through which my senses is known, like the working of my senses. If I smell something, the mind says, this is this smell. If I taste something, the mind says, this is this taste of ice cream or taste of idli or whatever. So this mind, workings of the mind, is known by another entity. So the mind or the thoughts is itself the seen. But who is the seer of that? So he gives a word for that. He says it is Sakshi. Sakshi literally means witness. So he says there is a Sakshi which sees even the thoughts. A Sakshi which is non-judgmentally aware that there is thoughts going on. So I may have thoughts that I like something or I dislike something. I may have thoughts that this food is good, this food is bad, or I may have thoughts that this happened in the past, some memory, or this I will do today. I have so much plans. Now all these are thoughts which has its own likes, dislikes, good, bad, and all that going on. Now the Sakshi is just aware of them. It is a witness of them. It doesn't get involved in all these evaluations, whether this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like this. Even it doesn't get into this thing like I understand this, I don't understand this, if you're having the thought. Even that the Sakshi is not involved in that, but it is aware of that. So it doesn't go in there into the thoughts and try to change your thoughts, but it is aware of the thoughts. So then what happens? So then the Sakshi gets the status of the seer. But it is a special seer because it is not involved in what it is seen. So that is why he says, Drgeva natu drishyate. This is the last phase, he says, the last verse, the last quarter of that mantra. What he means to say here is that seer, that last seer, witness, after that you cannot see anything. So you have reached, there are two ways to look at it. One is to say that this Sakshi is the final seer. It is the final, after which there is no Seer-Seen equation. Until the Sakshi, we can say that there is still the seer equation or the Seer-Seen equation. Like I see the thoughts and then the thoughts are known by Sakshi. But now can the Sakshi itself be seen by something else? He says no. And the other way to look at it is, if we are seeing something still, and then we say there is another seer, we get a sense there is another seer, then that means that it is not the Sakshi. Because if you say that there is another seer there, then, this thing that is seeing is not the final Sakshi. So you're still involved with thoughts, you're still involved with emotions or something like that. The point when you come to the conclusion that I cannot see anymore, that I cannot, there is no further seer, then that is a Sakshi. There the equation ends. Okay. So until then, that whatever we are saying that no, my thoughts are still known by something else, I'm able to analyze these thoughts, who is this analyzer of these thoughts and all that, then you're still caught up in the mind. You're not still able to see the Sakshi. The only moment when all the seer-seen equation ends is there is any more seer. Then this constant, this multifold, first we saw this object. This object was seen by the eyes, then the eyes is seen by the mind, and then behind the mind there is another Sakshi, so we kept going through this. Then finally that point ends when there is no more seer. So it will just practically try to do this. Now you can keep your eyes open only because this is easier. Take an object in front of you. Any object that you, if you want to take the screen, that's fine. Or if you see anything in front of you, just try to see and first feel the power of your eyes seeing. Okay. Feel that your eyes is looking at that object, whatever that object is. And get a sense, now I'm seeing this through my eyes. Could be the cup or could be this, whatever it is. Now you can close your eyes, and now through the mind's eye you can see that object that you just saw just now. Maybe the screen or the cup or whatever. Ask yourself, am I able to see in my mind that object? There's no need to kind of meditate on it, just to try to feel that that object that you saw outside, you can visualize in your mind. Now this thought in the mind, who is aware of this thought in the mind? Or what is aware of this thought in the mind? Now you can just let your mind loose in that sense. Let it have any thought. It could be thinking of what we are discussing right now. It could be thinking of what you may have to do. Who is aware of all that thoughts that's coming? Now, if you feel that there is this entity that I'm aware, that there is aware of these thoughts, can you try to go one step further and see that entity or feel that entity or become aware of that entity? If you get a thought that, yeah, this is this entity, then try to see that what is aware of this entity? What made you aware of that entity? Keep on doing this until all the judgments that I can see, I know, this is good, this is bad, everything is seen by that Sakshi. And you know that it is a Sakshi when all these judgments come to an end. These evaluations come to an end. This trying to make it as the knower comes to an end. So any thought, just try to take a step behind that thought. Any kind of emotion or feeling or judgment, go one step behind that. Let whatever thoughts come. No need to control the thoughts. The idea here is you just try to find that point where there is the witness. And this witness is not involved in what it is witnessing. It is just an observer. So the moment any thought comes, just shift your attention to what the thought is, to the knower of the thought or the knowing of the thought. If your mind is confused, then there is something that knows that the mind is confused. Try to get to that. If your mind is restless, there is something that knows that the mind is restless. What is it that knows? Okay, you can just relax for now. Take a deep breath. Just relax. So this is called as Drg Drshya Viveka. What does it mean is Drg is the seer, Drshya is the seen, and Viveka is discrimination or discernment or this separation. So the seer-seen discrimination, seer-seen relationship, that is the essence of this. But there is a whole text on that. So he's written a lot of verses on that, and how he describes different processes. But the essence is this, and this is actually not so much of a scholarly study text. This is a mananam text, So we have to do mananam on that, and the essence of the mananam is really just this simple thing. If you get this, what we discussed today, then the whole essence of this whole process is understood. It may seem like, this is a very simple process, or that this is a incomplete process and all that. But this is very deep, because the more you're able to do this, the more you will see that in every thought, in every action, or in every perception, you can go to the seer. And the more you keep going to the seer, the more you rest in that seer, the more you will be able to come to this point that the sense of seer at the end, the witness, is not that tangible as it is with these objects that we see. And it keeps breaking down. So this is this process, how we do it. And the idea is you can do it formally. The best I suggest is like how we did it. We should do formally. You meditate for 3-4 minutes, calm the mind, relax the mind, and then you launch into this kind of inquiry. And it could be immediately what is happening in your life, something that is happening right now, if it's bothering you, you try to see who is the witness of that. Or if it's nothing is happening, you are just quiet, then take some object, take some visual object, start from there, let some thoughts come, let some memories come, and then you keep trying to go beyond that. But also, most importantly, few minutes here and there, informally we can practice this in our daily life. You are seated somewhere in your car, maybe not driving, but if you're just seated somewhere, and some thoughts start coming in your mind, you can ask, who is aware of these thoughts? What is aware of this? So it's even better to ask, what is aware? And then if you say that, oh yeah, there is this thing, I feel like there is an entity who is seeing this, and this entity is a seer, then you have to go one step further, because if you are able to objectify that entity, then that means you have not reached that seer. You have to go another step further. Okay, so we will leave it at this, and we'll do some more, 1 or 2 more sessions on this. We'll discuss a few more on that. And it's a little hard to get it first time, but once you get it, it's like a very nice process. Yeah, Jagdish.
You see, the awareness, the witness and awareness are same.
Yeah, you can say they are the same. Yes, more or less the same. Yeah, it is the impartial awareness. It is the as long as there is partiality, as long as there is raga dvesha preferences in that awareness, then it's not the pure awareness. So the awareness is actually getting distilled when it comes through the eyes. The awareness is also getting corrupted a little bit when it is through the mind. But when that awareness is pure by itself, when the awareness is untouched and pure by itself, then you can say it is the witness.